Hello friends, if you're new here, I'm Hannah. I am a mom of 6. 2 years ago we started living very tiny in a shed to homestead conversion. Our home is much larger now, praise our Heavenly Father. I learned so much from living in such close quarters with our large family, and today I want to discuss the topic of discouragement. I know it is something we as moms need to be actively doing our best to fight against. We live in a world that is rife with comparison, especially with the invention of social media and people sharing their lives where everything's a highlight reel, everything is filtered, everything is made to look its absolute best, which, hey, I don't really see anything that wrong with it. I love looking for the beauty around me as well. And I don't see anything wrong with sharing that. We just have to be very careful about how we internalize it. We can look at things that are beautiful and think, oh, that's inspiring, or we can let it get us down. If you know me, you know I'm gonna try and beat this drum over and over until it creates neuro grooves in everybody's brains, is that our thoughts control our emotions. And that is a liberating truth that set me free so many years ago when I was struggling and battling postpartum depression. I can tell you to this day, I still have to remind myself that I have to take my thoughts captive. It's not automatic. We will always have unwanted or unpreferred circumstances. But it's like a muscle. The more you practice, the more intentional you are, the stronger the inclination is, and the more routine and habitual it becomes. So the reason I bring up our thoughts is because if we are feeling discouraged, if we're feeling down, if we're feeling sad, it's because we had a discouraging thought or a negative thought. If we thought to ourselves, oh, I never get any time to myself, I don't get to do the things I want, it's going to start this march of negative thoughts just over and over, or it's like a snowball. Once you start, it just gets worse and worse and worse. You just keep ruminating and thinking about all the things that are lacking or disappointing in your mind. And our Heavenly Creator, in His grace, gave us the gift of metacognition. And what that means is we as humans are able to stop and think about what we're thinking about. We can stop and process our thoughts. So if you catch yourself feeling disappointed, feeling discouraged, feeling down, you say, okay, what was I just thinking about that produced this emotion? And this alone is life-changing, because when we accept and own the responsibility of the fact that our thoughts control our emotions, then we can spin this to be a very positive thing and realize that we control the environments that our brain lives in. We choose whether or not we see the bright side and opportunity and obstacles, or we choose to dwell on the obstacle and then convince ourselves that there's nothing that can be done. And that's just been very life-changing for me. So what causes discouragement for us? I think, like I mentioned before, I think part of it is our culture. Our culture definitely likes to promote the idea that leisure and a life of ease is the end all. That's what we all should be working towards, is just luxury and being able to just lounge and have whatever we want, and no one really needs us, and everything's always smooth, the children are always well behaved, life is just pie in the sky, right? And I'm so sorry, but that is a lie. We have been sold a lie, my dear friends. The fact is that life of self-indulgence will soon become very boring and not fulfilling. What gives us a fulfilling life is a purpose, having something to contribute to, a cause, a virtue, relationships. these are what give us a fulfilling life, not to mention the joy of overcoming obstacles. Self-discipline is the true secret to happiness. When we choose self-discipline in any area of life, we're thinking long-term. We're not thinking short-term gratification. Having self-discipline in how we run our lives, and more importantly, how we control our thoughts, has a major lasting impact, and that can have a ripple effect on our home life and our family members. So how do we refute this? How do we refute the things that feel missing or disappointing in our lives? I have found that it is very helpful to journal these things, to write down what is missing and what's disappointing, then to refute it or reframe it, or to write down action steps to fix it. So there are some things that are going to be missing and disappointing that simply need some truth sprinkled over them to change how we actually see the situation. We can choose to say, oh, I never have any time to myself. And you can refute it to say, I have the opportunity to have so much quality time with my children. And one day I will miss these days. A time is coming in my life. There will be a season where I have so much time to myself that it drives me nuts. And I might even battle loneliness at that point. So I'm going to choose to be happy in this season and make the most of the time I have with my precious family. Or you can also look at the other column, which would be action steps. So to have balance, how can I factor in time to myself so I can better pour into my family? And that's where you do things like waking up earlier so I have a quiet time, or reading a book while everyone else is taking a nap, or calling a friend while everyone else is playing outside and I'm less likely to be interrupted. Whatever will help refuel you. But we have to acknowledge that no one is going to come riding in on a white horse to make sure that we take ownership of our lives. So it's up to us to look at what is upsetting in our lives right now and either talk to ourselves with truth about how we can see it in a better light, or take action steps to make it what we want it to be, because we do have the ability to change our lives. And let's not get into worldly lies that say that you're stuck. You do not have to tell yourself you're stuck. You do not have to believe you're stuck for 1 second. Again, it is something we have to take ownership of, in the same way we have to take ownership of our diet and how much we exercise, how clean our home is, etc. It is up to us to take ownership of how we view our world around us, because we have the power to decide if something is empowering or discouraging, if it's an obstacle or if it's an opportunity. Our world is as we assign it. It's as we assign it. We can choose to be strong in controversy, in adversity, or we can choose to wallow in it. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. Some people don't want to take ownership of that, but instead of getting angry, get excited. Get excited about the fact that you can choose to spin things in your mind to being a positive. And it takes time. Right now, you might have negative grooves that have been just bored into your brain, and it takes a long time to carve out new ones. Another thing we have to talk about that's keeping you in the dungeon of discouragement is bad habits. So bad habits are things that give us a sense of soothing or entertainment in the short term, but long term have detrimental effects. This can be anything from eating sugary treats, junk food, too much screen time, alcohol, smoking, etc., etc. They're basically frenemies. You know, they seem like they're helping you, but in the long run, they're conspiring against you. I mean, don't get me wrong. They seem like they're helping because they provide instant gratification, they provide instant stimulation or zest or comfort. And sometimes we feel like we genuinely need these things to get us through, or to have something to look forward to at the end of the day or the middle of the day or whenever. But we know long term, these things are not good for our physical, mental, and spiritual health. So there are things we need to address. I know it is not easy to give up things that seem like a friend, that seem like a good source of comfort. Because we as humans, we need comfort, we need entertainment, we need zest, we need things to look forward to in our lives. But they need to be things that long term provide us benefits, things that are better for us in the long run. You will feel so much prouder of yourself when you know you are actively and routinely doing things that are good for you long term. And once again, I want to say self-discipline is the secret sauce to happiness. When you have the self-discipline to exercise every day, not only are you going to get those immediate endorphins, but you are doing something that's going to benefit you in the long run. And screen time on your phone may feel comforting in the moment, but what time are you sacrificing when you get sucked into watching too many YouTube videos or scrolling on Instagram for too long? That's time that could be used for something so much more beneficial to you, a hobby that brings you joy or quality time with those around you. These are things that we need to be brutally honest with ourselves about. Anything that we swear off, we say, I'm not going to do this thing anymore, I know it's bad for me, but then we slide back into it, that's something we need to address. And I promise you, I am looking at myself as I'm saying all these things. There have been a lot of comforts in life that I thought were okay in moderation, that I thought I can just watch it, I can control it, I can have a little bit here and there and still enjoy it. But the fact is that those things were bad for my long-term health. And I feel much better consistently on my day-to-day life without them. And that's important too. If you are consuming something that's making you physically feel bad or is emotionally and mentally changing the environment that your brain lives in, that's something that needs to be addressed for your everyday happiness. Another reason we get discouraged is because of boredom. Nothing makes me feel worse than feeling like I wasted time or I wasted a day or I didn't get as much done as I could have possibly. And not necessarily for the sake of busy work, but things that made me feel happy, that made me feel fulfilled. I don't like feeling like I wasted a day or even a couple of hours. That just, it's a yucky feeling. And chronic boredom is a sign of wasted potential. So along with your list of what's missing and disappointing and how you're going to refute it, reframe it, or make action steps to fix it, I also want you to compile a list, another 3-column list of things you're interested in, of skills you have, and a contribution that you think you can make on the world. I mean, that is the key. You want to find the 3-way intersection of what makes you so passionate, what brings you alive, what gives you something important to address, to talk about. And this will also help you so much in those moments of feeling discouraged. It helps so much to have something you love and are passionate about to think about instead. Because remember how we talked about metacognition? When you catch yourself thinking something super negative and you start that downward spiral, you say, no, I'm going to move into another room of my brain and I'm going to think about this thing that I'm super passionate about, that I love, that makes me happy, that I just can't get enough of. And oh my goodness, girl, you will see yourself come to life. And it can be something that's for you. You don't have to put a burden on yourself that like, oh, it ought to be this, I really should pick this. What is something that you genuinely love, that you just get so excited about, that you could easily talk about for hours on end? I want you to think about this, something that is just natural to you. Again, something you're interested in, you naturally have a skill set for, and then think about how you can make a contribution to the greater world around you. And even if that is confined to your home, that's still a blessing. It gives us so much joy in life to know that we're blessing others. It helps so much to get outside of yourself. Do you know what I mean? I feel like We live in a world that's so self-involved, so self-indulgent, so self-important, and then we wonder why we're chronically bored and sad and discouraged. But when we put others first and think of how we can contribute to blessing someone else, and we have this passion that just gives us something positive to think about, it makes a massive difference. Again, not just on us, it's a ripple effect that other people will feel, and that is a truly wonderful feeling. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope that it was encouraging and inspiring for you, and I just want to thank you for sharing a part of your day with me. It means so much when people continue to come back to our channel. And if you like this video, please consider giving it a like and sharing it with someone you think might also benefit from it. Most of our video today was inspired by this wonderful book, Happy School, by Julie Gordon. She is an amazing author, and I read all 3 of her books every single year because I just love bathing my mind in these life-changing thoughts. Oh yeah. So I will have this linked in the description box below for you if you are interested. I just think studying truth and highlighting it, underlining it, writing in the margins, and then trying to teach it to others is the best way for it to become cemented in our brain. So just something to think about. You want to say bye? We hope you have a great rest of your day. Shalom, friends.